Hello and welcome to Bears, the mental health podcast for the LGBTI plus community. Actually, welcome to episode 1 of season 2. This is the all-new relaunched Bears podcast, now with 13 dedicated listeners, thanks to the gorgeous Danny in the UK. Let's have a quick update about where I am. So firstly, I'm in a great place, and I genuinely am. The podcast started to help me with my body image issues and mental health and things like that, and it really did help. It didn't do it on its own, and I'm not going to go into the thank yous. If you want to hear them, listen to the filler episode that came before this one. I'm back at the gym. It's a new gym to me. It's smaller than what I'm used to, smaller than the other gyms I've been members of. But it still has everything I need, and it's not that busy that there's any waiting around for the machines. It's busy enough, so it's not like I'm there all on my own, and there are other people to talk to. But as I said, there's no waiting around to use a piece of the equipment. It's got a swimming pool, which has a nice deep end, which I love. My last gym had one of those pools where it's all the same level, and I'm just not a fan. I like a pool with a deep end, and I honestly don't know why. I just do. So as I said, this is a relaunched, brand new season 2. I'm going to take a new format of this podcast, and one of the things I'd like to introduce is looking at things that are in the news about mental health. And I'm going to try and not just cover Ireland, even though that's where I live, and I'm probably going to end up focusing on Ireland the most. And I'm sorry about that, but I do want to try and look at what's going on around the rest of the world. I don't have a name for this news section. If you want to come up with one, feel free to email it in to hello@bearbears.com if you've got any ideas. So for now, it's just the news, and here it is. Heads Up, a Kildare-based organisation established in 2015, is expanding its reach to Wicklow for the first time. The programme, primarily funded by the HSE, focuses on supporting men's mental health due to higher suicide rates among males. Heads Up aims to assist men struggling with mental distress, those seeking new coping skills, and individuals feeling isolated, as well as those who have kind of lost their zest for life. This comprehensive programme covers 4 key elements: that's well-being and resilience, life planning, physical well-being, and positive social support. And these components are designed to help participants understand mental health recovery, build resilience, set personal goals, improve their physical health, and develop social connections. A whole heap of things there. The upcoming programme, running in Wicklow, will start on March the 31st, go on until May the 13th. At Baltinglass Parish Hall, and I hope I pronounced that right, with sessions scheduled on weekends and full 2-day sessions to accommodate bank holidays. This expansion marks an important step in bringing mental health support to more communities in Ireland, and I hope it takes off, and I hope it's brilliant, because I'd love to see this going on around the whole of Ireland, in every county, in multiple venues in every county. A recent study in the Lancet Child and Adolescent has revealed a concerning trend among England's youth mental health. Over the past decade, the hospital admissions for mental health issues among young people aged 5 to 18 has surged by 65%, rising from approximately 24,000 in 2012 to nearly 40,000 in 2022, and more than half of these admissions were attributed to self-harm. More than half of those were attributed to self-harm in 5 to 18-year-olds. That's just awful. We need to be doing more about mental health. This alarming increase in youth mental health problems isn't isolated to England, as similar patterns are observed globally, underscoring the critical importance of early intervention. Globally, it seems that Gen Z's prioritisation of mental health is reshaping society in profound ways. Their openness about mental health struggles is breaking down long-standing stigmas, with 87% feeling comfortable discussing the topic and 1/3 sharing their experiences on social media. This generation's focus on well-being is transforming workplaces, with companies increasingly offering mental health resources and flexible arrangements to meet their expectations. However, challenges persist as 42% of Gen Z adults report having a diagnosed mental health condition. This highlights the ongoing issues as rising healthcare costs and professional shortages continue. Despite these hurdles, Gen Z's approach is paving the way for more open and supportive mental health landscapes across generations. So that, my gorgeous 13 listeners, was mental health news. As I said, if you can think of a title, let me know. I don't know if I'm going to keep this feature. It's just, mental health news is something I like to keep on top of. And as this is a mental health podcast, I thought it was important to include it. As I said, I don't know if I'm going to keep it. But for now, if you can think of a name, hello@BearBears. Drop me some suggestions. Another feature I'd like to introduce is about your correspondence. So I get the odd email from listeners. Sometimes I talk about them in the podcast. And now I'd like to make this a regular thing and read maybe one or two out. For transparency, I stole this idea from Neil Smith's podcast, Keep On Smiling. It's a great podcast. Neil is very open and honest and it's such a breath of fresh air and a wonderful person. If you have time and the chance, go and find it, go and have a listen. It's really good. And it's part of the reason I do my podcast, and I told him so a couple of weeks ago. So I put a post on social media. I said I was looking for emails, because obviously this is a new feature, so no one's going to think to email in and say, hey, this is for your reading out bit. So I put this post out on social media and just said, I'm looking for emails. Share your mental health stories, share tips, share literally whatever you want. This is about your correspondence. So I put this post out, and boy, did you respond. I've gone through them all, and thank you to everyone who did email in. Just because yours might not be getting read now doesn't mean it won't be getting read in the future. But for now, I've chosen one because I kind of like what it says. Dear Bear, I'm going to keep this anonymous because even just writing this is starting to cause anxiety. The idea of you reading it out to your 12 listeners, as you say, I'm going to correct you there, it's 13 now. Thank you very much, Danny. Anyway, the idea of you reading it out and your 12 listeners hearing it just makes it worse. I thought I'd share, well, actually, before I carry on, thank you. Like, if that's how it makes you feel and you're still prepared to go through and write it and send it, thank you. That's good of you. That's a huge step, and I'm humbled that you would carry on and do that. Anyway, I thought I'd share something I do to help with anxiety. I've been battling it for years, and it took me a long time to find out what would help. It's origami. Essentially, I have a paper fidget spinner. When I feel a panic attack coming on, I start folding paper like my life depends on it. Sometimes it works like a charm. My hands are busy and my mind focuses on the folds. Sometimes I end up with screwed up balls of crap, and other days I get a pattern of some sort. The result isn't the reward, it's the process. It helps calm me. It doesn't always work, but most of the time it does. But the thing is, even when it doesn't work, I keep doing it because it gives me something to do other than spiral into what ifs. And on the good days when it does work, I feel like I can carry on. That's my coping mechanism. It's not perfect, but it's mine, and I thought I'd share it. Keep up the great work on the show. Signed, the Anxious Origami Master. P.S. If ever you need balls of paper, get in touch. I've about 1 million of the fuckers. Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sending it. Given that you said just writing it causes you anxiety, the fact that you managed to finish it and then send it, it is brilliant. So thank you for that. One of the things I often say to people when I give talks about mental health is to find their way of dealing with anxiety or stressful situations. And if I could answer that for you, if I could tell you what would work, I wouldn't be doing this podcast sat in my lounge. I would have a full professional studio, and when I finished, I'd go out to my yacht and I'd have martinis served to me by men in not much clothing. Eye candy, let's say, because I'd be a multimillionaire if I knew the secret to fixing anxiety. But what I do know is that everyone has a way of helping with their anxiety, and you need to work out what it is if you don't already. So next time you're having any kind of anxiety attack or any kind of stressful situation, do something that you think may help you calm down. Whether it's something you've read, whether it's something you've just thought of, just do it. And if it works, keep a note that it worked. And the next time you're in a similar situation, do it again. And if it doesn't work, say that it didn't work. Make a note about what was different about the situation. Try something else. And keep trying, because I promise eventually you will find that thing that helps you, just like this corresponder found out what it was that helps them. Folding paper. Maybe give that a try. So that was that email. Thank you. Keep them coming in. hello@BEARBEARS. If you want to send your email in, if you want to comment on that email or anything else that's mentioned in the show, I would love to hear from you. So in this episode, I want to talk about habits. Years ago, I was told about this magical and totally frustrating 21-day habit rule. And the theory is, if you want to break a habit or even start one, it takes 21 consecutive days of doing that thing or not doing it, whatever the case may be, to make or break the habit. So is this fact or is this pseudo-scientific bullshit? Well, it's both. You see, the thing is, it's not 21 days. In the 50s, a plastic surgeon named Maxwell Maltz discovered that it took his patients almost or approximately 21 days to get used to seeing their new reflection in the mirror. He also found that amputees could still feel some sensations in their missing limbs for around 21 days. So Maltz started looking at his own behaviour and realised that he could make something a habit or break a habit if he did it for at least 21 days. In other words, it took him a minimum of 21 days. And the words at least and minimum and approximately are all really important here. Because decades later, you will get people like Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins who start recounting his works and saying, hey, look, you can make or break a habit in 21 days. And what they didn't add was that it's the minimum of 21 days. But why would they? When they want to sell a self-help book, they need it to have a brilliant, catchy title. And you're not going to sell a book that says change a habit in at least 21 days, but it might take you longer. Like, would you buy that book? I know I wouldn't. And if someone tried to sell it to me, I'd probably tell them how many days it would take me to shove it straight up their arse. So how long does it really take? Well, step in Philippa Lally, a health psychology researcher at University College London. Lally did some actual research, with real people rather than just herself and Wikipedia. And she discovered that on average, it takes more than 2 months before a behaviour becomes automatic. In fact, she found it takes 66 days to be exact. And 66 days is a lot longer than 21. It's more than 3 times longer, but I'm sure you've already worked that one out. Lally also discovered that how long it takes a new habit to form can vary widely depending on the behaviour, the person, and the circumstances, but also the habit itself. Well, colour me fucking shocked. Are we saying people aren't actually different and unique? Maybe 21 days isn't a size that fits all. Because for some people and their habits, it took 18 days, whereas for others, it took 254. In other words, we need to adjust our expectations because doing that is crucial when it comes to forming a new habit. Because in reality, solidifying a new behaviour into your daily routine is going to take considerably longer, typically ranging from 2 to 8 months. And this extended time frame reflects the complex nature of habit formation and the variability in individual experiences. And those first 21 days are going to feel like you're fighting a losing battle. Because here's the rub if you're following the 21-day rule. Let's say you're one of those miracle people who can do it in 21 days. So you start and you get to day 10 and you fuck it up. You don't do that thing you're trying to make a habit, or you do that thing you're trying to break, or whatever. You don't carry on from day 10, you start again. So now you're looking at 31 days. And that's if you're mentally ready to start the very next day. So, are you following the 21-day habit rule? No, you're fucking not. Well, you're not, as long as you don't give up. Because if we've now gone to 31, so of course you're not following 31. Of course you're not following the 21-day rule. As I said, the average is 66 days. And I know that's a long time, but it's that long because it takes that long for habits to form and take work. But the beautiful, messy truth is that every single day counts. If you've listened to my podcast before, you'll know I'm all about celebrating the wins, no matter how big or small. In fact, if you celebrate all the small wins, you'll be celebrating a lot, and life is worth celebrating. So make a start on forming that habit or breaking it, whatever you want to do. And if you fuck it up on day one, if you don't even manage to go one full day, congratulate yourself on making a start and celebrate that win. Sit back, take a breath, start again. If you throw it all away on day 5, congratulate yourself for going longer than you did before. But when you start again, if you fuck it all up on day 4, do not beat yourself up for not making it as long as you did before. Congratulate yourself for trying again. Because that's what it's all about. It's about keeping on trying, because eventually the success will come. When food was my mortal enemy and not my friend like it is now, I used to stop at the filling station and I would get fuel, and while paying, I'd pick up a chocolate bar. I'd run in to get a drink as I was passing and I'd pick up a chocolate bar. I'd run in to get a paper and I'd pick up a chocolate bar. I'd run in to get something else for somebody else and I'd pick up a chocolate bar. Something about a filling station, a petrol station, made me buy a chocolate bar, and some days I would go to the same place 3 or 4 times a day. I tried to pack it in, but it kept failing. But I kept trying. And eventually, with some help from my gorgeous and wonderful hypnotherapist, David, we found a way to stop me doing it so much. We broke this problem down into smaller goals. I could still buy a chocolate bar, but only if it was a Saturday and I was getting fuel. Anything else, then I was not to get a bar. Well, my dedicated and lovely 13 listeners, it's been way more than 66 days and I haven't bought a chocolate bar in a petrol station other than on a Saturday when I'm getting fuel in a long time. Yes, so my habit was broken with the help of hypnosis, but let me tell you a quick thing about hypnosis. It's fantastic, but it wears off. And any good hypnotherapist will tell you this. They're not bringing you back in to get more money. In fact, many will give you recordings of sessions so that you can listen and get a boost. They bring you back if they need to because hypnotic suggestions don't last. In some people, they last a week. In others, they might last a month or maybe a few months. But like with forming habits, we're all different, and how it affects us and what results are produced differ from person to person. How do I know this? Because years ago, I trained as a curative hypnotherapist. Would you look at that? Sometimes I do know what the fuck I'm talking about. But let's get back to talking about habits. Have you got one? Have you got something you want to stop? Or is there something you want to make a habit? Track it. Be it on your phone or on a piece of paper. Track and see how long you can go. But start small. Say to yourself, I'm only going to go for one day. And when you've done that, give yourself a massive pat on the back and say, do you know, I might try another day. At the top of your tracker, write your end goal and write how you're going to reward yourself for succeeding. Because trust me, you'll deserve it. I'm not going to give you samples of trackers because how you want to track it could be different to how I want to track it. But find your own way. The important thing is, find your main habit and break it down into smaller goals and milestones, because these milestones can make a huge difference when working towards a goal. Let's say you want to go out running. You want to go for a run and you want to do it every day. So, running every day is the habit you want to form. Start with day 1. Go for a run on day 1. But when you leave the house, say to yourself, do you know, I'm only going to run for 30 seconds. Don't promise yourself anymore. You're just going to run for 30 seconds. Because you can do that. And at the end of that 30 seconds, say, do you know, I'm going to do 30 seconds more. And if that's as much as you do that 1 minute, say to yourself, that's 1 minute more than I ran yesterday. And put that in your tracker and congratulate yourself on that small win. But remember, progress isn't linear. Progress is not a straight line that goes up in a nice curve. Progress looks like the ECG of someone having a heart attack. It's up and down, it's spiking bottom and top, it's everywhere. But this is good because we can still celebrate all those small wins. That's Habits. I hope you've enjoyed this first episode of Season 2. Keep your emails coming in, hello@bearbears.com, and you can find me on all the socials. If you go to www.bearbears.com, you'll find a link for links, and you'll see all my socials. You'll also see why I refuse to use X, Facebook, Instagram, blah, 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 all those ones, because they're all shit. So you'll see my other links on that site there. But you can email me, as I said, at hello@bearbears. If you've enjoyed this podcast, why not share it? Or even write me a review. I would really appreciate it. Until next time, you wonderful people, keep listening, but more importantly, keep talking. Goodbye.